Welcome back to another episode of Save the Pumpkins podcast. I'm Amy.
And this is Shane.
What are we reviewing today?
Today we are talking about 2014's Midnight Masquerade, starring
Christopher Russell as Rob Corelli, Autumn Reeser as Elise Samford, Richard Burgi.
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 Yeah, it's spelled G-I, but I think it's pronounced Burgi.
Okay. As Howard Samford.
He was in the Friday the 13th, 2009 reboot that you're going to watch with me, I know, at some point.
Oh, no, I'm not. But
Okay, yeah.
Thanks for trying that.
He was in General Hospital for a bit too, I think, right?
Not during the time that I watched.
Yeah,
so.
okay.
Helen Colliander as Ruby.
You legit just forgot Autumn Reeser, didn't you?
No, I said Autumn Reeser as Elise Samford, didn't I?
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Well, I apologize
okay.
because I do love that name, Autumn.
It's
so.
fantastic.
Damon Runyon as Emmett Higgins. Danny Smith as Andrew Higgins.
We talked about this in the last one. You're going to read the entire cast?
Well, I feel like they play a part because I'm going to mention them. Chris Gillette as Carter Higgins.
Yeah.
And Neil Crone as Sam.
Okay. Yeah.
So first, just give a little tidbit. What'd you think?
Ooh, we're going to open right up with the...
Well, I feel like we should just say...
How'd you feel about this one? Kind of
this
thing?
was fun, or, I'm
going to be honest with you, though. I guess we'll get to it, but this is I think it's utterly charming. I just am... I love Autumn Reeser anyway. I think she's really good. There's another one where she was on, we haven't done yet, where there's like a guy that goes back to his hometown, shocking, and he's like a country and western singer or whatever, and he's in that house and she lives next door. It's a farm thing. Do you remember it?
I don't.
They get married or whatever in the barn. He's got a fiance.
Maybe.
Yeah, okay, yeah, and then we need to maybe rewatch that one, do it again. I think Autumn Reeser is pure charisma.
Yeah.
When she smiles, when she reminds me a lot of Nikki DeLoach and Erin Cahill. She's just got that presence that you just kind of want to see more of. She's just positive, but she's got a look. She's got a funny, it's that sweet.
It's that look when you hear that she's going to be in it that you're just like, oh, sit back. The movie's going to be okay. She's going to take care of it.
Like Ashley Williams is like we said that in one of the other episodes. When you just hear Autumn Reeser, you go, okay, well, there'll be something in this I like. With Ashley Williams, there'll be something in this I like. It'll be Ashley being Ashley.
Well, let's just say so.
So what's this one about?
Autumn Reeser plays Elise, who is the new CEO of Samford Candies.
Man, we don't even start on her. You and I'm so fascinated every time we do these episodes, how you start, we don't open up with her at all. She doesn't even get introduced until... I would
like to go down and say
I feel like
what
I'm blocking you doing
is.
it the way you want to do it, so you should do your thing.
So Howard plays Elise's dad. So Howard Samford, played by...
Richard Burgi, yeah.
Okay. And then Ruby, played by Helen Colliander.
I don't know that actress's name.
Is the niece.
Yeah.
And then Sam, played by Neil Crone, is the security guard. And then Rob, played by...
Oh, Rob is Christopher Russell.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't be quizzing me.
Well, you got to know if you did your homework. So that's just an introduction to all of the characters so that when we're talking, people get to know who it is that we're talking about.
I think they'll get important. It naturally.
So, okay, where do we start?
Okay. Rob works at an attorney's office. This is Christopher Russell. He works at an attorney. He's an attorney, but he's that I'm just coming up attorney, so he's not the
Christopher Russell?
That's what his name is.
Oh.
Rob. He's played by Christopher Russell. What did I say?
Okay, no, you threw me out. Go ahead.
Okay. Rob works in it. You got me screwed up now.
He doesn't look like a Christopher. That's why it kind of threw me. He doesn't look like a Christopher to me, but that will play into what I think about. So keep going.
Oh, man.
Sorry.
It's like Maple the dog. The last one, you just tell me a little bit at the beginning about how you don't like something. Then later on, we hear about the weird complaint.
Sorry. Right. Keep going.
Okay. Rob, he works at an attorney's office. We see him. He gets into the building, and he's so... The thing you need to know about Rob, and this is what the synopsis of everything I'm about to say is, or the summary of everything I'm about to say is, Rob's a nice guy. That's what they want you to know. Rob comes into the office. He brings his doorman a coffee. He talks to him. He's nice to him. They talk about life and they talk about the company and all that fun stuff. And so Rob comes in and he goes upstairs, and he's clearly the low man on the totem pole at this at the lawyer's office, right? And the lawyer's office is run by a dad and his 2 sons.
Higgins and Associates.
Yeah. Yep. And it's run by them. Thank you. And that will, they'll play into that nepotism, right? In fact, the dad even says it looks too nepotistic, I think, at one point for something. If they're going to go into a meeting with Elise, and he's like, "Oh, I need you to come in there, Rob, because that looks too nepotistic, because I've just got my boys in there," right? But he really only cares about the boys. First time we watched this a couple years ago, I actually thought he was going to wind up being okay, because he didn't look evil. He looked like he was going to be disappointed that the guys were trying to shake Rob down a little bit. But no, the dad's a creep. Yeah. It's terrible.
It's a little bit of a twister there.
Yeah, a little bit. Okay. So they give Rob all the kind of the bad assignments, right? So there's an important client coming in, and it's Elise. So this is part of the movie that's maybe a little bit weird for me. And it deals with this, and I'll get into my thoughts on it, maybe my only criticism of it. Elise runs Samford with an M, Samford Candy, right? That's her dad ran it, but she's going to take over now when he's retiring, right? And of course, the mom died because we got to have a dead parent in every Hallmark.
Yeah, they don't really focus on that.
No, but they mention it later, because why would you have a Hallmark movie and not mention that someone's died? And therefore, I don't want you to, I want to be just like her.
This is one of those movies where, okay, it's mentioned, but it doesn't play a part.
It's not a focus. You're right. It's not a focus. But anyway, I only brought it up because Samford. Her name is Elise Samford. Sam with an M. Okay, I keep saying it because the whole time they're getting there's another company that starts up named San with an N, Sanford Candy, and that it's a focal point in the movie, like, because the whole thing they give Rob. So Rob comes in the next day and they give Rob all the crud work, right? They're like, investigate this client. The 2 boys do, whose names are, because I didn't write it down. I'm thinking
Emmett and Andrew.
Yep. So Emmett is the Mr. Swinging, he's a good looking one. The other one's like the little nerd son, right? Well, the dad gives the assignment to Emmett, right? Which is why I thought originally when we watched it the first time a year or so ago, that's why I thought he was going to be disappointed in his sons, but he didn't. He had wound up not caring. But he gives the assignment to look into this client and figure out, a good approach to make them happy, because they're a long-time client, like Samford Candy. They've been a client of, what'd you call it?
Higgins and Associates.
Higgins and Associates for a long time. And he gives the assignment, the dad does. He's like, Walter, what's his name? Okay.
I think
okay. It doesn't matter. He gives it might matter. He gives the assignment to Carter. He gives the assignment to his to Emmett, and he says, "Hey, go find out everything you can about this company, because we're, they're coming in. We want to make them happy. The dad is giving the company to the girl, and there's like maybe a little insinuation of she's in over her head kind of thing. She doesn't know anything, and they give it to Rob, who's kind of like the little legal aid, if you will, but he's a lawyer. But they give him the assignment to go through it and figure things out. Right?
Well, it gets passed down from the dad to Emmett.
Yeah,
Emmett goes to Andrew.
Yeah, well,
Andrew goes to Rob.
Yeah, well, they're pawning. Right. I think the first assignment is given straight to Emmett, and then Emmett gives it to Rob. But Andrew definitely gives Rob a bunch of junk at the end, right? In fact, he becomes the one that gets a little bit more on Rob's nerves than Emmett does. Emmett's trying to be the Mr. Macho, I spend a lot of money, look at this watch kind of thing. So, yeah, it pawns all the work off on Rob, who's like, oh, great, or whatever. And we cut away from that, and Rob is talking to his niece, Ruby. There's a really little sweet side story with his niece, Ruby. They show him with her a lot. And her mom as well. I think the dad, yet again, I think the dad has passed away. I don't think he's gone anywhere, has he? He's passed away.
I don't think that's
anyway. No, they mention that, but I can't remember.
They're in the bowling alley.
Again, yeah, well, right, but his niece invites him to go bowling, and then the whole point of this is Rob's a good guy. If you have a takeaway from this, it's that Rob's a good guy. They want you to know that about Rob. And honestly, Christopher Russell does a really good job of being the good guy. He's got a kind of a friendly face.
What I said about him?
Yeah, well, I definitely want to hear. I'm talking too much.
I said, going into the second scene after he was bullied into getting the
Yeah, they're at the
work,
bowling alley, right? Yeah.
I said that he has a Clark Kent meets Richie Cunningham vibe going on.
Oh, it's really clever and
Like
super
he looks
accurate.
like Clark Kent, but he kind of acts like Richie Cunningham from Happy Days.
That is super clever. I don't mean to act impressed, like I didn't think you could come up with something like that, but that was really clever.
Yeah, that was like my first major impact.
And it's
impression.
completely true. He looks like a Clark Kent, like a, rigid, handsome, but, you'd overlook him if you were looking the wrong way. But
yeah, and they just get
But
taken
yeah.
advantage of because they're just such nice guys.
he never pushes back. Right. He always does whatever he's told, kind of thing. Yeah. But he's got a really good relationship with Ruby. And they go to a bowling alley, and who goes to the bowling alley?
Oh, that would be Elise and her dad.
That's right. Go ahead. Do you want to go?
And so they're each doing their thing, and Ruby kind of looks over and sees Elise, and kind of you see it in her eyes that she's
playing
cute.
matchmaker this whole movie, trying to get Rob a girlfriend.
So they wind up meeting at the vending machine, Ruby and Elise. And Elise says, what kind of candy are you going to pick?
Yeah.
Because her candies are in the vending machine.
That's right. Samford
gummies is what she picks.
It is.
And Ruby says, these are my favorite. And she said, mine too. But she doesn't say, oh, those are my candies, or, I'm
going to guess that you didn't write down Samford gummies. You just remember it.
I did.
Yeah. You know why you remember it?
I like gummies.
Because good movie. You remember details in good movies. Yeah, you like gummies too, but you remember details in good movies. We like this movie.
Yeah, and I also thought how weirdly big that bag was that came out of the vending machine of
it's
Sanford
family size.
gummies.
It is, yeah.
That's not what happens nowadays with the vending machine.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Rob comes over and she introduces herself, and he's like a deer in headlights. Like he doesn't know what to say. He's very like
Yeah.
And so that's basically how that scene ends, is that she was, she says, very nice to meet you, Ruby, and she's got to go. So
Remember what we got to next?
is this where we're going into the business office?
We are, and Rob is crucially, and this happens frequently in this film. Rob stayed up late to work on the Samford contract. So what is he?
He's late.
He is always
That's
late.
This dude, the Clark Kent.
I might fire this guy too. Like he's late a lot, and he's rushing to get to work. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, he's pleasantly surprised to see her in the room, and
he brings Sam some coffee again, because we got to let you know, Rob, good guy.
And so they are talking about.
So why do they invite Rob to go into the room?
Well, because he's been doing all.
Well,
the
no,
work.
they're incompetent, right? They're you get the impression that these two don't want to work because their dad is the head of the company, and Rob gives them the work that he's done overnight. They could just as easily take that work, but they know there might be questions.
Right, he's their safety net.
He's kind
like
of
if
everything.
they start like fumbling, he's gonna
Again,
pick up their
Rob,
slack.
Good guy.
Yeah. So anyway, what comes up is that it's brought to their attention that there is now a Sanford. Let me repeat that for those who didn't hear you earlier. Sanford with an N, who also runs a candy company. And there is some argument for that they're going to dominate, I guess, the candy world if they don't take over like the domain name. And
and they show them the packaging, and it looks like a candy bar or something, and it looks almost the exact same.
Right.
But it's just
so
an
they
N versus an M.
They make a plea to try to say, hey, you may want to see if we could buy this company.
But crucially in this meeting, the Emmett, I think, it's not Andrew this time, it's Emmett that's like, Rob goes, well, we needed to make sure we do this, or we need to make sure we secure that domain because they haven't gotten it yet or whatever. And Elise turns and goes, good, because she met him at the bowling alley the night before, right? And they kind of see each other's eyes, and she thinks his name is Ray because he had a bowling shirt on that said Ray, but it was just a vintage bowling shirt. It's kind of it was weird that they made him wear a shirt that said Ray anyway. I think it's probably one of those bowlers that they like because they're all into bowling. It's another weird kind of weird thing in this, but whatever. So she's like, "Good job, Ray," or Rob, who's Ray, who's really Rob. And Emmett kind of budges in and goes, "Yes, that's what I was telling Rob that we should do," or whatever, right? Like he tries to muscle in and take credit for it. Yeah.
So
It's a
later that
takeaway,
night, in the next scene, Emmett's at a bar with his friends and talking about, this girl and the situation. And Emmett comes by the bar and drops off the work now that is being put on Rob to secure the domain name and take care of all that cyber squatting.
Yeah.
And so the friends say, why do you put up with this? And his answer is, because I have student loans, the economy is bad, and no one is hiring. So that's lets you know that the thought is there for him to leave. But because if you're watching this movie and you're like, why don't you just get out of there, dude? Like, you're getting taken advantage of. You're just sitting there like a sitting duck. Well, now his character.
So when he leaves, what does he do first? Do you remember?
No.
He leaves money for their drinks, his friends' drinks. And the one friend goes, "This is too much money." And he goes, "Eh." And why does he do that?
Because he's a nice guy.
Because he's a good guy. Rob's a good guy.
So, but it just kind of gives you like, for me, that was like, oh, okay, I understand. Because for a while there, you could be like really not liking this character because he seems like a wimp. And why is he like, letting them walk all over him and stuff.
Yeah.
But
I never felt that way about Rob. Okay, fair. You're looking at it from a different perspective. I got you.
A little disappointed, and but then that made me pull for him because he's like, okay, well, he's clearly thought about this, and he's letting us as the audience know that he's thought about it, but this, and this.
Yeah.
So, so all the while we're talking about bringing coffee for Sam, but there was a little side thing going on that there was a little bit of, I guess, tension between Sam and the Higgins family, especially Emmett.
They're jerks to him because he's a little puny doorman, and they're lawyers in the big building he's the doorman for.
Right.
So yeah.
So Sam, being a good security guard, says that everybody has to sign in to the building, and Emmett has a problem with that because he says, "Well, you know who I am," and Sam says, "Sorry."
Yeah, I like the when Hallmark does the real problem in the world, and I don't think the message is meant to be this big, but I take it this way because it's how I feel. The real problem in the world is us versus them, right? It's
entitlement.
rich.
Is that the word you're searching for?
What did you say?
Entitlement.
No. Well, yeah. Eventually, when I guess that's not eventually, that's what precedes it, but it's us versus them. It's the little poor guy that's to try hard, or not poor. Rob's not poor. He's a poor guy, but not a poor guy, right? He's a little try hard. That's like or not a try hard. He's the good guy, and they're the rich. In other words, the real problem in the world is the rich that just continue to take, and they look and how they perceive other people, which is beneath them.
Right.
And that's
and then in seeing how the dad acts and his actions later on, then you start to understand why Emmett and Andrew have led by example.
Oh, 100%. He's the example. I did the 100% thing from Vengeance again. He is the example. He's terrible. Yeah. And I'm not bringing it up as a tangent or anything because I got another tangent I want to go off on a little bit. But it is very much, Rob is consistently, his sister and niece are not particularly well to do. She knits him sews him a little.
She makes custom suits.
But it's not like, don't portray that like she makes custom suits and she's got a designer shop. They portray this as a working mom. They portray her that way.
Well, but going back to what I was saying, the reason why I brought up that scene with Emmett and Sam is it kind of helps to portray that there is this hidden tension, because why are we focusing on Sam could be the question. And so it's kind of letting you know, hey, Sam is being treated unfairly in his position, and it kind of gives you an idea that Sam himself isn't happy. Because
I don't think it was wrong that you brought it up. In fact, I think it's not so much hidden. It's out there in the open. Like Sam and his relationship with the Higgins as well as Rob is a dynamic. It's actually kind of an important thing.
But you could just see that originally as just how Rob is as a character, that he's nice, that he kept bringing Sam this coffee. But in fact, there were two things going on at the same time. It was not just defining Rob's character as a nice guy.
Are we too into this movie? We're dissecting this like it's an Oscar candidate.
No, but then it also shows, once again, Emmett's nasty character, but then also helping to set up how the ending is going to be in that. No, but it gives you an idea of, does Sam enjoy his job? So.
You went hard on this. You went deep.
When you look back on it, especially when we do this.
Oh, you're
you start
right.
To see.
I just think you went deep.
Well,
Good.
Yeah. Isn't this what this is supposed to be for?
Honey, when we started doing this podcast, my initial thought was that you were going to get up here and just say what you had to say so you could just get off it because it was making me happy. But you're like kind of taking over, and I'm just proud. Like I'm not jealous. I'm just proud.
Well,
keep rolling. What are you talking about? Shine, girl.
Yeah. So, okay. So just keep that in mind, what I've said.
Yeah. And is he late to work the next day because he stayed up all night again?
Well, okay, but hold
that's
on.
the next scene.
Because now next scene is that Elisa's coming into
He's late.
Higgins and Associates and is making an announcement that Samford has a annual Halloween ball, and she is extending all of the employees of Higgins and Associates
because they represent the company,
to attend.
Yep.
So he goes to his sister and says, hey, I'm going to this Halloween ball. This woman, I should say, is someone I'm interested in. The niece is all excited. Oh, yeah. And the sister says, okay, I'm going to make the perfect costume for you.
We cut to a little scene that if you didn't write it down, you wouldn't care. Did you write it down? What's in the very next scene?
Her and her dad.
Yeah. Look at you loving this movie.
Yeah.
So
it goes, well, it transitions very well because when you think about it, here he is talking to his sister. She's going to make him a custom suit or costume, I should say. And then we transition into her being fitted for her costume.
It's not just someone entering from one side of the screen in a pumpkin farm. And then in the next scene, entering from a lake doing yoga. Right. That's a little inside joke from a previous garbage
so
movie.
Her and her dad kind of share a dialogue about how
it's really sweet.
She wants to change the company and start using plant proteins, better for the environment and also good for vegetarians. And he is the most supportive dad.
Yeah, he's a
because
sweetheart.
Throughout the whole movie, he has said, it is your company now. You do whatever you want to. I have complete, total faith and trust, and just comes across as a really good dad-daughter. I believe in you.
Really sweet, without being like overbearing. It's just he's just supportive. He's just what a man needs to do.
Right.
Yeah. What do you look at me like that for? No, I don't support you.
You just pat on your back a little bit there, but that's okay.
I pat on.
No.
I didn't pat my back. I said a man needs to support.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
As a wife does support her husband.
Oh, she absolutely does.
So then the next scene is.
Or you're asking me?
Yeah.
Okay. So we cut to the next day, and he's in a rush to get to work.
You missed something.
No, what did I miss? Oh no, I missed the dance. Yeah,
yes. So
sorry.
So the sister tells Rob's sister says, hey, you need to learn how to dance if you're going to go to this ball.
Oh, you had a problem with this scene. Yeah.
I did have a problem with this scene.
Because it was just kind of, where's this dance?
Right. Where's the dance? Yeah. A dance just comes out of the blue.
Yeah.
I mean, how coincidental,
I'm going to let this slide because if that's the worst sin the film creates.
I got a couple of little things to rag on it later.
2. Got a dog that Autumn Reeser hate dogs?
She does not hate dogs.
Okay.
I don't think Autumn Reeser could hate dogs.
I don't think she could either, but Erin Cahill can.
No,
Ooh.
I never said that.
Bye.
Okay, so go ahead. Go to your running late again.
Oh, okay. So he's running late. Man, I'm starting to see why they don't like this guy as an employee. Boss is angry that he's late. Boss catches him this time. The boss, the main guy, Carter or whatever, catches him and says that you should be more like my sons, which burns, right? Because he's doing all their work. But Rob takes it. And he says, you're going to have to stay till 10 o'clock tonight, which
10:15.
10:15 was it?
Yeah,
I
he
thought it was
asks
10.
what he says. What time is it right now that you're just getting here?
Yeah, and which I thought it was such odd. 10 o'clock seems like not a punishment hour. I mean, I guess I get it if you're staying late
That's
at work till
late.
10.
I don't think I've ever stayed that late for a job, nor would I ever.
Okay, all right. So then we cut to, this is actually another sweet scene. We cut to Elise and her dad, talking, and as it turns out, she's mentioning she's a workaholic as well, right? She's working on stuff and asking her dad questions about the company, and the dad wants to have fun as well as run the company, right? He's like, and we learned that the mom died. Hey, dead parent. That's just Hallmark for you.
And what does he say to her?
Oh yeah, this is the best. This is one of the best lines. This is a really sweet line. He says, when you get older, what does he say? He says, when you're old, you're gonna want company, not a company.
No, come on.
No, that's exactly what he says.
If you're gonna say the cheesy line, you gotta say the whole cheesy line.
I wrote it down, so that's what he says.
When you're old and it's cold, you're gonna want to have company, not a company.
Oh, okay. I don't remember
when
that
you're
exactly.
old and you're cold.
Yeah. I don't know if you noticed this in this scene, since we're paying attention to the little details. There was some really good music in this scene, almost Christmassy. Oh, go back and watch it. It's really good. I was like, sometimes these movies will pop in a little like super well done, like orchestrated. I mean, I don't know how they do this stuff. I've made some myself. So they'll put some of this orchestrated music in there that's just really, it's really well composed, really well done. And this one just felt real Christmassy. And I was like, oh, okay, very cool. Then what do we go to next? What's the next scene?
So then, once again, we find Rob being bullied by the sons, and they're taking credit for it. He's kind of gullible.
Well,
and
yeah,
it's because
we see our first sign of Halloween decorations up at the office.
Oh,
Because there's you don't see very much in the way of Halloween or fall. Maybe the criticism of the movie, or another criticism of the movie, would be that I don't know that you would even know this was a fall movie. There's no fall because it takes place in the city, right? And you don't see a lot of leaves and things. But in this particular office scene, you see Halloween decorations. I'm sorry, go ahead.
no. So then we're just in a situation where he's the brothers are getting credit for the work that Rob is doing. When it comes to
The one brother says, "I'm gonna bill out for your hours.
right.
I'm billing out for them for me."
Mm-hmm.
So he's gonna flat take money from Rob. I thought that was maybe the worst one. That's Andrew that does that. I thought that was maybe the worst one.
Yeah, but I mean, like once again,
But yeah,
Dad.
what are you gonna do? Yeah.
So then we're talking with Sam, and we find out a little bit more about Sam. We find out that he used to be a lawyer, and the reason why he got out of that business was because a woman, the love of his life, fell in love with one of the partners in the firm, and he left the practice.
Sam got that passed.
Yeah. So that's why he's now in the position that he's in. But I thought that was neat that they...
And then another weird scene where you probably wrote it down. I know you did, because this is actually kind of an interesting thing that happens in it. Rob hears this information from Sam and goes kind of behind the desk to talk to Sam, because it's kind of a pitiful story. And he's like sitting down and kind of unbuttons his jacket or whatever, and is just sort of paying attention to Sam, because that's what a friend would do. And the boss comes down and goes, you don't sit behind counters and relax like that. You represent this company. Like you don't do that. Get out from in front of that. And what does Sam do? He wheels on Carter, the boss, the dad, like he's gonna. He yells at him and says, "Don't talk to him that way." You could treat somebody else that way. You don't talk to Rob that way.
That's kind of like
It was
that's kind of like
really weird. The doorman
I felt like
building.
that was more like because they're the same age, you kind of share like that same
I didn't think
ability
about that.
to say, hey, that's disrespectful.
Mind your manners.
You should know better. And you could say that to somebody your own age, I feel like.
Maybe. I thought it was a really good. It made me like Sam more, right? That's what that line was designed to do, is to make you think, oh, a good, respectful guy that has become more friends than friendly with Rob, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
So I've noticed throughout this movie is that we have like 3 scenes. I mean, they flow fine, but we have the office scene. We have the bowling alley scene. We have the bar
Reused
scene.
these scenes are, is what you're saying. You have sets that they reuse. We go to the bowling alley multiple times. Is that what you're saying?
Right.
We go to the bowling alley multiple times. We're in the office multiple times. We're
The
at
bar a few
the
times.
house, the bar,
And the
their
sister's house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
yeah.
we kind of,
It's more than a lot of these movies do.
yeah, true. But I mean, like I said, it's kind of like they flow very nicely. It's not like they just hit you like,
Yeah.
So then we get into Emmett registered the wrong domain name. So the competitor.
Well, we see Rob talking to at the bowling alley to Ruby, and then Ruby's sister makes him a costume that looks like what?
A prince.
Yeah, it looks kind of like one of the Three Musketeers, but yeah, I guess a prince. Yeah. And then go to your scene. Sorry.
Yeah, so then we find out that there was a mistake with registering the domain name, and it looks like Sanford with an N can still then carry control.
Well, the big dope registered Sanford Candy with an N. He registered the other company.
Yeah.
And he yells at Rob about it.
Yeah, and then he tells Rob that he has to fix it, and because he has to fix it, he won't be able to make it to the ball.
Oh, no.
And so here lies the conflict, and the building.
Mad Cinderella vibes happening here.
Yeah, totally. Well, you knew that when we saw her in the dress.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just pointing out the parallels, right? Like the wicked stepsisters saying you can't come to the ball.
Well, so the building locks at midnight. So here is what is Rob going to do because his niece keeps pressuring him saying, you can still go to the ball. And so just got to make sure you're back by midnight before the doors lock. And she hands him a mask, masquerade mask, so that way he can't be identified by anybody at the ball. So he leaves and he goes and who does he run into?
What do you mean?
At the ball.
Oh.
He runs into Elise.
Oh, no, yeah. She commits him to go, and he goes to the ball, and he's again, really nice music at the ball. But he's wearing a mask, and what did you think about the mask as far as his recognizable? So here's the thing. It's the long-running joke with Superman is that, Clark Kent puts on glasses and then he's,
right.
How does he not look still like Superman, right? That's just glasses. But here he does have a crown on, and it helps a little bit, I guess. I'm like, I think I would probably still know that was Rob. You've seen the guy multiple times now, but she doesn't recognize him. He bumps into her. He approaches Elise, and then what does he do? Good guy, Rob. She says, well, what do you want to talk about or whatever? And he says, I want to talk about you. Oh, look at that. A guy that doesn't want to talk about how wonderful he is and all the accomplishments he's got. Now, he is sort of trying to hide his identity, but also he just literally wants to hear about her.
Yeah.
Good guy, Rob.
Well, she takes off her shoes and they start dancing, and she starts talking about how she likes to go bowling with her dad. And, they're just talking about that. And then they mosey on over to a more open area, and they notice that there's a full moon. And I thought this part was actually very awkward, only because I'm not a feet person. I don't like people touching my feet. But there was the scene where he puts her shoes back on.
I thought this was maybe one of the sweetest parts in the movie. It was so sweet.
He uses a technique that his grandfather.
That's important.
showed him, which is using a scarf or a hanky or something,
Yeah.
and putting it underneath her heel and then putting the shoe on and then pulling the hanky or the scarf. So like her shoe goes in, her foot goes nicely into the shoe. But I thought it was very awkward that her toes weren't nicely polished. She was being awkward with how she held her foot. I just thought it was a very
thought that
awkward
was
scene.
if so. Number one, this is gonna sound like I'm crushing on Autumn Reeser, but I'm not. I think she's so ridiculously charismatic, and her smile is one of those, like Ashley Williams. Her smile is one of those that just kind of lights up an area. I think I don't remember what her feet look like. I'm sorry.
Oh, really?
No.
I mean, that was such the crucial point of
But here's why I don't remember what her feet look like, because they weren't painted up and done up, because she's the realist. She's not I mean real, like keep it real. I don't mean like she is a realist. I mean she's real. She doesn't play that I'm a corporate better than you thing. She put some slippers on to have a good time at night. She wasn't expecting to run into a man that was going to romance her, give her a kiss, spoiler, give her a kiss, a good kiss, and put her shoe that fell off back on. She wasn't expecting any of this. She isn't the kind of girl that goes out looking for, do you know what I mean?
No, I know. She's more down to earth. I get it.
And that scene was a little awkward, but that's what made it, in this case, realistic. It made it like you would see a woman do. I thought it was perfect. Like in a movie, take my slipper off of my shoe, and it would have been like, oh, that's so staged looking.
I mean, I guess you could look at it as though
Amazingly sweet. Like I actually was like, wow, I kind of want these guys to be a couple, even though I think he's maybe a little dopey. But I was like, oh wow.
I guess you could look at it as though that was a vulnerable moment, and that's why there was a connection.
Really good way to put it. Very sweet moment. Autumn Reeser has an amazing smile, and it just really goes.
They do have their first kiss.
Yeah, go Rob.
And it was a little boring, so I'm not going to, on a scale of 1 to 10.
I thought it was a sweet kiss, but I don't remember it was being boring. Okay.
But then Rob overhears the dad, Carter, telling Emmett that he needs him to go to the office to get a form or some kind of
Crucially, Emmett is in a full uniform, knight uniform, armor uniform. That matters, but he is also in it.
Yeah, and he's not very happy that his dad is making him leave
He's not happy in general.
The party to go get it done, but of course he's going to do what his dad asks him to. And so then Rob's got to skedaddle because, he needs to get back to the office before Emmett sees he's not there. So he leaves, but not before he knocks his crown off.
He tells her he's going to go get a drink for her.
Yeah.
It's kind of a bummer. And then his crown falls off, yeah.
Yeah, that was a little bit non-Rob like because then he leaves her
well in this case he had no choice, right?
And then I thought it was kind of funny that he knocks his crown off, and then as he's running out, somebody throws and hands him a gift bag from the party. And I thought in some way the gift bag was going to play a part later on, and it serves no purpose.
Nothing happened.
And so we jump to like Rob having to hurry up and get back to the office, and Emmett's like basically on his heels, and breathing down his neck. And we go back to Elise, who is wandering around the ball minutes later trying to find where Rob is.
Who is this guy? Yeah,
and
she doesn't know it's Rob, obviously, but yeah.
She just randomly finds the crown just laying in the middle of the floor around these women talking, and it's like,
well, this is your Cinderella parallel.
It's like, do we have to throw cheesy into it? Because we don't really have to do that. But
I liked it. I felt
so that was my little cheesy moment for me.
And the next day is when we actually find out that Sam is an attorney, because what does Rob do? Do you remember? The next day when he gets to work, Rob has a bunch of books. Why does he have a bunch of books? He signed Sam up for a continuing education course.
Oh.
Rob is not just a good guy. They want you to know Rob's a super good guy. He got Sam signed up for some continuing education courses. Why am I fumbling that so bad? Some continuing education courses so he can be an attorney again, because he doesn't want him to be, not that he doesn't want him to be a doorman. He doesn't care if he wants to be a doorman, but he knows that's what will make Sam happy.
Yeah, so that's a little touching moment too. But apparently, the dad gets wind that somebody in the office who had a costume like a prince.
Well, Elise tells her dad. We get one quick scene where Elise tells her dad, "Yeah, I met a guy last night, but I don't know his name. And let's look at all the people that were at the ball." And the dad goes, most of these people are from the law office. Why don't you just call over there and ask them who was wearing a prince costume?"
Yeah, so the dad tells Emmett that he needs to play it off that he was the one in the costume. So they go on a date.
Yeah, Emmett plays it off like it was him in the costume, and Rob hears it and is a little brokenhearted about it. But I mean, Rob, good guy, so he'll be all right.
But you knew that the date wasn't going to go off well,
yeah,
because
there was going to be conflict.
Yeah, because she knew what they talked about, and how do you pass that off?
Oh, you're talking about you knew the date wasn't going to go off like the next day when they talked. Yeah, so Emmett shows his true colors on the date.
Right, he orders this expensive bottle of wine.
Talks about how he went
champagne.
to talk only about himself, unlike what Rob did.
Right.
Asking about her, and she gets home to her dad and is like, the date didn't go so great. I don't think he was the guy I thought he was.
Yeah, so, but then we then go to where Higgins wants to try to convince Sanford to sell Sanford. And then Mr. Higgins says that there's an offer on the table, but ultimately he's being selfish because this is going to help his company if she sells to Sanford.
Yeah, and they have no idea that Rob is crushing on Elise, so they give him the proposal as more of his grunt work to look over. And Rob's like, "Oh."
Yeah, and then we go to the niece being upset with him because he hasn't told Elise what's going on, and so she makes it her mission to show up and tell Elise what's going on.
Yeah, but like you skipped a whole section of the movie that I know why you skipped it, because it was weird that they put something complicated like this in here. So Rob doesn't understand exactly why his company, the Higgins and Associates, why they would want Elise to sell her company so badly, because they'll lose one of their clients. So he's like, something's wrong, something's up here. They're going to get something out of it, right? So he gets all his friends and Ruby. No, this happens at this point.
Well, no, Elise is aware at this point. Elise is in this conversation.
No. They all go over to each other's houses and Google shareholders of Sanford with an N and find out, why does Carter Higgins want Elise to sell her company so badly? Even as I'm saying it, it's too complicated for a Hallmark movie. And so they find Carter Higgins has got friends that are on the board of Sanford. And so they're buying things for him. It's like what do they call it? Not a ninja takeover, but I can't remember, a masked takeover, if you will. So Rob figures out, along with his friends and niece, that they want Elise to sell Sanford with an M to Sanford so that they can be rich from the shares or whatever of Sanford, the new company, which is, you can't do that. It's a conflict of interest. They find that out just by Googling. And then what happens? Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, then I guess that's when the niece goes, because Rob is not going to tell her. And she shows up at her job, and she's like, "What are you doing here?" And she tells her the truth.
He tells her. Yeah, he tells her.
The niece tells her.
Well, Rob meets her as well. Yeah.
And she goes and...
But the niece only has... You're confusing two things. Rob meets Elise and says... I think you are, at least. Rob meets Elise. He calls her from the bathroom because Emmett's coming into the bathroom. He gets on his cell phone and he says, I need to talk to you. Rob calls Elise. And she's like, all right. So he goes over and meets her at her office, tells her what they found, his niece and the friends. And she's like, do you have any proof? And he goes, no. But think about it. Why would he be trying to get you to sell? It doesn't make any sense. You are his client. He will lose money, but he won't. And that's why he's getting you to do it. And she's like, okay. And then Ruby goes to meet Elise, not to talk about the hostile takeover necessarily, or the whatever the kind of the shady stuff Higgins is doing, but to tell her, yo, Rob was in the costume. He's the one that loves you. He's being a dope, and I don't know why, but he's the one that loves you. But then she's like, we got to get this straight. So Elise, being a tough, strong woman, Elise is like, nah, we're having a meeting with the Higgins boys, and we're going to figure this all out. So she brings Ruby upstairs into the conference room. Go ahead.
And they call in Emmett and Rob.
And Rob is like, oh man.
And she says, how can you prove that you were the one in the costume? And
well, she catches him first about lying about being, yeah, right. You're right. No, that's right.
And Emmett can't really say anything. And then that's when Rob gets down on his knee and takes out a handkerchief or whatever and puts her foot in her shoe with like he did that his grandfather told him. And
said, this is an old trick my grandfather, something that Rob would have had, Emmett would have had no idea happened. Right.
So then she fires.
She gives him a kiss right there.
Huh?
She gives him a kiss right there in the room again.
Yeah. And she fires Higgins and Associates and says that she's with Rob. Rob's going to be her new advisor. And
it is revealed that Rob has paid for Sam's continuing education courses in full.
Yes, he says
Good
that
guy, Rob.
He says that he pays his dues and now he just has to finish his classes. And so with that, this is one of my
problems, with all these movies when they do the quick cuts and we don't get a good.
Yeah,
I forgive it here.
Now we see Rob Corelli opening his own business, wiping the sign that says Rob Corelli and Associates. Sam is in an office, so his associate is Sam, and that was a cute partnership, I thought.
Yeah,
how that turned out.
It was a cute relationship.
And then we end it at the bowling alley, and they're getting married.
Yeah, we see their feet with the bowling shoes on them as they're dancing or whatever, and they're getting married.
It was very simple.
It's very simple. It's very quick. Maybe a little bit too quick of a cut, but I don't really know what I would have wanted to have been done differently there, so I'm okay with that.
So it's got a happily ever after ending, and so my biggest cheesy picks, I guess, at this movie are as follows. I thought it was like I said, the Clark Kent meets Richie Cunningham for Rob. So far as Autumn Reeser's character, Elise, everything you said about her, I agree. So far as how they made her up I wasn't a fan of the bangs. I thought she didn't wear enough makeup, but I thought that the makeup that they had on Rob throughout the whole movie really kind of was like,
good or bad,
hyper focused on it because I felt like he had so much makeup on.
Did he?
And then his lips were so pale because he had so much makeup around
his mouth. The things that people see in movies, that the different things they see, because I think Autumn Reeser's bangs are literally her superpower, and you don't like them.
I think bangs are done, but I mean the movie was in 2014, so I have to give it that. But I just think she didn't have enough makeup. And then, like I said, the awkwardness about her taking her shoes off. That was, I guess for me, who's super self-conscious about feet. And I know in talking with a lot of other women, that is kind of like where, we lack confidence, I think, in our feet. We don't like people touching them and stuff. But I just thought that was just very awkward. And
none of these decisions were probably theirs, right? Like, it's just costume designers and set people that made those. Somebody just did her hair and makeup and didn't dab her feet up or whatever. Like,
no, I know, but I'm just saying
no one
that
will
if you're gonna go,
we're making it so that now Pascal Hutton can't come on our podcast. Erin Cahill will never come on our podcast, and now Autumn Reeser. My gosh, we need to do more
Okay.
so that we can oust
I'm
Ashley
sorry.
Williams and
But this
Jill
is
Wagner.
the fun part of
Nikki
the
DeLoach, you're in danger.
podcast is you get to be a little bit, funny in what
Mad
you
critic.
take from it, and that's what I'm taking from it. And and I'm not saying anything other than light things. I don't think that what I'm saying is extremely harsh,
That's
but
right. She does still like dogs, so I guess she's all right.
yeah, no dogs in this movie.
There were no dogs. There were no animals of any kind in this, were there?
Well, there was a child, the niece, so she likes children clearly, so that's
Wait,
good.
I said there were no animals in this, and you said there was the child. Ugh.
Why you bring that together is beyond me because you're trying to get me in trouble and there's no reason to. But it was a very good show. It was very entertaining, except for the little quirky things that I picked up that just were bothersome to me. That doesn't mean that they're going to be bothersome to anybody else. But I just felt like I needed to put it out there.
I love it. I think it's fantastic, and you liked it as well. It's just it's one of those where it's one of those movies when you watch it, you go, "Gosh, this is going to be." Even if I was in a bad mood, it's going to be difficult to hate this. You know?
Yeah.
It's like Autumn Reeser just is one of those like Ashley Williams just bubbling around on the screen, and you're like, oh, okay, everything's going to be okay, I guess.
Yep, interested to see what else she has out there. So, I mean, other than that, I think we can wrap it and challenge you guys to see it as well and let us know what you think. We hope that you tune in again. Remember to take time to do what makes you happy.
Yep. Thanks, guys.